Hey guys, welcome to Star Wars Timeline. My name is Ben. Today I'm reviewing the following episodes of the Ewok Show Season 2, Episode 9, Gone with the Nymphs, and Episode 10, The First Apprentice. Quick spoiler alert, I'll talk about the characters, the storyline here, so if you're curious to check out the show, please skip this video now. Let's begin with the first episode, and I gotta say right from the beginning that I got the serious King Kong and Gulliver's Travels vibes in this episode. Obviously, the showrunners were kind of like tapping in the previous stuff, the material that was created before the monster creature feature films and the animated film or the live action version for either one that you guys probably have seen, Gulliver's Travels, right? Where this adventurer gets trapped by these tiny little human beings. It's a story that is known across the world. Anyway, we begin this episode with this Hanadark creature rampaging the nearby forest, and obviously there's an homage to King Kong. He's like this giant ape-like creature, which I instantly fell in love with. I'm like, yeah, this is really cool. And Chief Chirpa gathers his warrior party and he says, hey, we gotta go and take care of it before he comes to our village. And of course, Wicket wants to join. He has his little belt of honor that he wants to fulfill, and he wants to become the warrior. He's like, hey, can I come too? Of course, he's left behind as a kid, and his friends Teebo and the girls are making fun of him. He's like, ha, they don't want you. And of course, that sets him off on his own adventure. He says, no. I'm going to go, I'm going to find this Hanadark, and I'm going to chase him off because I'm going to be a great warrior. And he captures this a giant ape while he sleeps, right? He ate these kind of like apples, and he falls asleep. He's sitting there, and Wicket basically ties him up. Not only does he do that, but then he wants to go and get a trophy for himself. He's like, I'm going to go and grab that too. They're like, whoa, hold on in there. Chill for a second, Wicket. That's too brave. Of course, the monster wakes up. He's too powerful for these ropes to hold him. And he starts, going crazy. And Wicket has no other choice but to escape. And in a 15-minute episode that is there, I felt that the story overall progressed very naturally, didn't rush. And when it got to this point, the action was really, really cool. I loved how Wicket was jumping everywhere and escaping this monster, and how later on he ends up in the river because obviously this giant creature won't step in there, and Wicket, escapes that way. But then he falls down the waterfall, and his fate is unknown for a little bit. Teebo, Latara, and Nisa are in search of their friend. Of course, Latara, being the big mouth that she is, she's worried for her friend. And once again, I love that this show reiterates that they're all in it together. They all have very quirky personalities. Sometimes Wicket does something that his friends don't appreciate, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, they're still friends, and I really like that component of it. And as they're searching for them, Teebo and Latara, they're kind of like crying, "Oh no, is Wicket they don't quite say dead, but it's we kind of know what they're feeling. It's really a heartfelt little moment there." And they meet the Kegels, which we've seen in the previous episodes. Once again, they warn that Wicket is in danger and say, hey, there's this huge creature there, Hanadark. You guys better run. This is no good. And the next that we know, when Wicket escapes, he's now captured by these tiny creatures called the Nymphs. And this is where I said the episode reminded me of Gulliver's Travels. They bring him back to the village. And they're like, come on, perform for us. We captured you. You're this giant guy for us. Can you please scream or do something? And Wicket is there. He's displeased. Like, man, do I have to? They don't feel sinister at all. They just capture him. It's a really weird interaction. But I did love the tiny village. It fits so well with the Endor moon for some reason. I don't know. I loved it. It was really, really cool. And we're back to our monster. The Hanadark, he's traversing the forest. He smells Wicket, and he attacks, and he starts rampaging this whole village, something that the Ewoks were afraid was going to happen to their village. And Wicket really gets his game on. Now he knows that it's not just his personal ego at stake. Now he's got to save this little village. There's so much more happening here, and he becomes very brave, and he's very resourceful. He grabs this little piece of garment or whatever that he has, and he blindfolds the creature. And they defeat it, of course. The creature falls down the waterfall and it's gone forever. That's how we conclude the episode. But before we end there, the Nymphs actually present Wicket with their trophy. It was the funniest, cutest little moment where one of the Nymphs grabs his tiny little tooth. And it's like, oh, so, you can't have a Hanadark tooth, but we'll give you ours because our friend over here, he lost it in battle. It was just so nice and cute. I really enjoyed it. And we're back to our friends, and now they're sort of mourning. It's like, oh my God, what are you gonna say to Wicket's mom? We couldn't find him. What's gonna happen? And this is where Latara tells her true feelings. He says, well, if he was here now, I would tell my friend that he's the bravest of all Ewoks. Of course, Wicket has to swing down the vine. Come there, what did you say? Please, could you repeat it from me? I couldn't hear it. Say it again. And of course, the friends recognize that Wicket is indeed a resourceful and good friend, and he did right by this village. All in all, a very good episode. What I really appreciate these half-format episodes instead of like full 25 minutes, the 15 or 12-minute episodes are really on their game, and you really could see where the writers come through and deliver a very complete story, or whether they start rushing things. Because whether your episode is 24 minutes or 15 minutes, you can still effectively tell a good story. And I'm glad to say that in this particular episode, they focused on all the right things. So to me, it felt very complete, and the victory was well earned. Now we move on to the second part, to episode 10, which is called The First Apprentice. And we open up with this quick scene which sets up the premise for the entire episode. We see this mysterious cave, and there's this prophecy pool, right? And there's strange Ewok that we haven't met before. He looks into this pond, and he sees Teebo. He says, aha, so this is the next apprentice of Master Logray, and he's training him. He's the only one who can defeat me. We can't have that. And now he wants Teebo as his apprentice. And obviously what we find out, as the episode title suggests, this is the first apprentice of our wizard or magician Logray. As Teebo is practicing his small little tricks, his master warns him. Logray says, look, before you get to the big and flashy tricks, you gotta master the small ones, and you have to be patient. And I love that. Once again, it sets up a teachable moment in the episode, but it's not preachy at all. So I imagine for kids, they don't even consider it something that is like nagging on them, or adults trying to tell them something. They're just watching this episode and learning with Teebo along the way. And of course, later on, Teebo is with his friends in the forest, and he wants to demonstrate his trick. And you know what? Even though it's a small trick, I liked the fact that twice in a row, Teebo successfully summoned this little leaf, and it started flying around. It like tickles Nissa a little bit. That was kind of cute, but it gives us an idea that Teebo is indeed talented. He's just not up to snuff with those larger, bigger tricks yet, because he's young. He has yet to learn. Anyway, this guy waltzes in. He's like swaggering around. We learn that his name is Zarak, and he crashes the whole party. He's like, this is just small, stupid tricks. How come, the master hasn't taught you really big and important stuff? Do you want to come with me? He tempts the little Ewok. Come with me, I'll teach you all the important stuff. And he tells his story that, I used to be an apprentice of Master Logray, and then he wouldn't teach me the important good stuff, so that's why I left. That's kind of half the truth, because the story is not fully completed yet. So Zarak takes Teebo away. Nissa tries to warn her friend, but she falls under the sleeping spell, which already we see that this Zarak guy, he's up to no good. He's definitely a villain. And of course, Wicket and Latara have to take her back to the village and actually call on their friends. It's like, hey, come with us. Abandon him. Don't listen to him. This adult is definitely no good for us. Come back to the village, which Teebo doesn't do. He's in a way sort of led halfway, like kidnapped back to this village. So Wicket and Latara, they bring sleeping Nissa back. They crash into the Master Logray's hut. And like, hey, Master Logray, please help us. She's under some sleeping spell. So Logray, of course, finds a remedy. And then he says, okay, I know who this is. This is my former student, Zarak. And this is why he's evil. And once again, I love that how it's a pure good versus evil sort of like classic Star Wars storyline, where he says that this student was impatient. This student had a high potential, and he had all of the same talent that Teebo has. The only thing is that he used that knowledge for evil and for his own ego and his own advancement. Back at the Zarak's lair, he starts teaching Teebo these strong lessons, these magic spells, which obviously Teebo is not prepared for. He's like, hey, how about you try some levitation? And we'd levitate some rocks and throw them at our opponents. He's basically weaponizing the boy's skill. Then he says, let's transform this innocent little creature into a huge giant monster. Obviously, he's not using everything that he has been taught for good. And we see that clearly in the episode. And the final lesson is he basically tries to get rid of the little Ewok. He tries to kill Teebo. He says, look, here's this pit of spirits, and only the strongest Ewoks were known to walk out of their life, which basically your chances are 0.0. Not a good situation. Of course, Master Logray and the friends, they arrive on time, and this epic wizard on wizard battle happens, right? Zarek is using his very advanced, powerful spells to attack Logray, and Logray is only using magic in defense. He's trying to defend himself. Friends, in the meantime, rescue Teebo, but all of them are imprisoned. And Teebo now, it's his time, his moment of glory. He needs to come through for his friends. And what does he do? Once again, just like Wicked in the previous episode, in this one, Teebo focuses all of his attention on trying to help his friends, not himself. Ego is now out of the way. I love that stuff. It is so conscious and so well put together, and the two episodes complement one another very well. And what does he do? The icing on the cake, man. He takes the exact same spell with one leaf, only now he has more leaves. It's really harmless. It's not dangerous, but it's basically starts tickling and distracting this evil wizard until a point where Zarek basically falls into the same trap he set up for these little Ewok. I love that part. And of course, they all get out of the cave safely, and they all celebrate together. And we realize that there's still yet great potential for Teebo, and indeed he will become a great wizard, but it's going to take time, and he needs to remain patient. All in all, both of these episodes not only work single, like by themselves, they work together as a unit because their stories kind of parallel one another, and one must be patient to become a warrior, and another one needs to also demonstrate patience, especially with dealing with magics, because they can harm people. I love this stuff, guys. So far, the second season had a few episodes which weren't as strong for me, but this is top tier Ewok show content. I enjoyed this as my top favorite episodes from the first season. I'm giving this 9th and 10th episode 4 out of 4 straight up. I really, really enjoyed it a lot, guys. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode, and how did you see the two personal journeys of these two little Ewoks, and how did they connect for you personally? Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll check you next time. All the best to you.